Hello, hi, welcome everyone to the April Q&A. I realized that I missed March. I don't know how I did that. The last one and the first one was in February, and I'm alternating between Instagram and Facebook. So that's why this one is here on Facebook, in the Facebook group. And the next one in May will be back on Instagram. So we'll alternate between depending on where sort of people are being able to like connect in from, because not everybody has Instagram and not everyone has Facebook. So that's why having sort of a spread across both. And I didn't really want to do Zooms for these because then people have to like log in and stuff. And yeah, we had so much Zoom in lockdown. But exciting. Welcome. It's the holidays. I feel like the term went very fast and the year has gone very fast so far, but really exciting. Got some things to talk about when it comes to structured maths approach for this month, and any questions that people have. That people have in mind that you've been like working on or struggling or just want to like answer, or just something you're not sure of, you can pop it here and I can answer those for you. And then we'll be able to get those answered quite quickly. Let me just check everything is all good. Yep, perfect. Because it's my first time in a group in such a long time. The first time I ever did a Facebook Live was like years and years and years ago. So just got to make sure that everything is all like good, and then we'll be good to go. Where are we at? This one here and this one. Oh, perfect. Cool. Awesome. Amazing. So, what's been going on in the last 2 months? So the last one was in February. We're now in April. Also in the holidays, which is crazy. So there have been lots of things happening in terms of like visiting schools, working with principals, working with curriculum leads. Hi, Abby. Oh, so lovely to have you here. I'll be, sorry, just like sidestepping. I'll be in tomorrow, but I'm in my workshop until 12. So if you want to come tomorrow after 12, I'll be there for a little bit. Otherwise, I'm definitely there Wednesday and Thursday. Abby, if you want to come by. Sorry, sidestep back. So there's been a lot of conversations with principals around resourcing still. That seems to be still a huge thing happening. New Zealand Herald actually did an article today talking about the curriculum and the resourcing and the changes that happened, and like why did it happen so fast, and like teachers are still stressed. Well, we knew that was going to happen, but nobody really listened to us last year. So there are still schools out there that still do not have their resources, the resources that they booked in for to get back last year in that time frame. They still have not received their resources. I would be very interested, anybody that's online watching this currently right now, if you have not got your resources yet, I'd be very interested to hear that, because it is crazy that we are one term in, 25% of the way through the year, and you still don't have what you need, which just blows my mind. So I've been doing a lot of work with schools around how structured maths approach can work alongside the funded resources, because again, the messages which have always been from the Ministry of Education is that you don't have to use the 4 funded resources. Remember, those are funded, meaning from the government. There's no like, this is what you have to use, this is your list, you can only use these. You can use other resources, other things from the past, other ways of teaching, all of those programs that you might have used before, prior, even now, you can still use those, and it's around finding a way of making them work together. So most of the conversations I've been having with principals, I want to say in the last 3 weeks, have been around, hey, we're not happy, how can you help us? Or hey, can we use them together? How can you help us? So that's sort of those conversations at the moment as well. There have been a lot of forecasting for next year as well. So Erica came out at the beginning of March, I think, saying that all of the resources are funded for next year as well, and ongoing. So she put a little snippet in her email that she sends out saying that they'll be free ongoing in the future. The funding has come from a different aspect of funding. I'm not sure what that means, but that schools can now pick and choose. So what that means is that this year, say for example, you have used Prime, for example, and you decide at the end of this year that Prime isn't the resource that you like or that is working for your students, you can actually go and change for a different one. So I know that the first initial information that came out was you can only have the one that you've chosen. That's what you've got for 2 years. Tough luck. Like once you've locked in, you've locked in. Now they've come out and they've said that you can actually change. So that's a little bit of another thing to put in your mind as well when it comes to like decisions for forecasting. But what I have been talking is around with principals for using structure mass approach from 2026 as well. So many schools who have come into the resource this year have also come on board for next year too. So if you are holding out, I do know of one school that they're waiting until next year to start, which is cool, totally all good. You've got to do what's working for you. Plus, you know, you've got the curriculum, structural literacy. Some schools haven't done any sort of PLD anywhere, so you've got a lot happening. They're waiting for maths until next year, so they've already booked in dates for 2026, which is crazy because I don't even know what I'm doing in my mind then. So I was like, yeah, okay, sure, let's just lock in those dates. So I've had 2 schools that have already booked in for next year. So just keep that in mind, that if your school is looking or interested in using structure mass approach for next year, or even if you're trialing it this year to use next year, definitely have those conversations with people higher up to say, hey, we might want to like pencil in a date, just because what happened at the end of last year coming into this year was that all of the dates that schools wanted, there wasn't available because they were already booked. So that's something that's I've been working with principals, and that's on my mind as well. And I know it's crazy to say that because we're in April, but like that's what schools are forecasting, you know, booking in PLD for next year. Algebra is coming along. So in the 2-year overview, algebra is the next strand being working on and being released for the end of this coming term 2. So it's down in the 2-year overview to be used from like week 8 to week 10. So it will come out before that. Algebra is the one that's being worked on currently. And then the contractors, so I've got 6 contractors now, which are amazing. They're all absolutely fantastic people. They have also finished time as well. So we've got algebra and time happening. Algebra is the one that I'm actively working on putting together in terms of like content and the book and the resource to purchase. And then time is coming after that, which is very exciting. So those are the next 2 coming this year. As soon as algebra is ready, I'm going to get started straight on time as well, so that you've got them coming out quite quick, because from the back of algebra, time actually comes, so how it's done is it's done a 7-week number, 3-week strand on an offset, but term 1 has the strand at the beginning of the year, and term 2 has the strand at the end, not of the year, of the term, sorry. So then term 3, it's at the beginning, term 4, it's at the end, so that like-minded strands can be rolled over together. So the next ones are algebra, which is end of term 2, time, beginning term 3, and then probability, which is the end of term 4. So that will be very interesting, probability, looking at all the progress outcomes. And then that then feeds into statistics, which is the beginning of next year. Then after that, statistics is both measurements. So you've got measurements actually broken up into 3, which is how we've done it. But you've got the measuring, perimeter, area, and volume. We've broken off time. So time's got a separate one. And then the last one is to come back to geometry, which is pathway. So we've broken it all up into 8 strands, so that it's all sort of spread out quite nicely, that it isn't, you know, we're very, when the contractors and I put it together, we're very mindful of cognitive load. It is very important. That's, you know, it seems to be something that's thrown around quite a lot at the moment, but also of how like prominent it is for not only us as well, but also for students. So breaking things down in a way that's also explicitly taught being mindful of their load, also be mindful of us in the classroom as well, with a new curriculum, new resources, all those sorts of things. So that's why we've unpacked it and done in a way that it is to help you get through your years of teaching maths, but also that it's done in a way that is going to, be positive at the end of the day. Um, if you have just joined us, or welcome. If for any questions, for anything that's sort of like on your mind, please pop them in the comment section. I say this all the time, no question is a silly question. If it's something like direct me where to find this, or how do I find this, please pop that in there. And if you stay around to the end, when I say right at the end, there'll be a spot prize, and to enter the spot prize and to win the spot prize, you have to stick along to the end and enter in on the comments. So that's sort of something to entice you to stay along, I guess, and listen to me for another 10 more minutes. But I don't know if I want to share it just yet, because it is really exciting and I don't want to give it away because I love cliffhangers. If you follow my Instagram page, I do love a really good cliffhanger, and I do have a really good one. And I only told 3 of my contractors, I want to say maybe it was yesterday, the day before, and they were like, oh my gosh, this is going to be life-changing. So I am very excited about that. Yeah, maybe I'll leave it to the end, maybe. Yes, around that. I always share a tip in these, and I mean, I shared one last time. This has been the second one, so I'm going to share a tip this time. And one of the tips is around worksheets. So it's funny because, I hear and have conversations with teachers that say, oh, your resource is full of worksheets, so many worksheets, things like that. And I'm like, okay, great. What resource are you using? And they're like, oh, I'm using, Prime or Oxford. And I'm like, that's a textbook, and a textbook is full of worksheets, which, it's like pick and choose. Anyways, the great thing about structure maths approach is that the worksheets, yes, they are worksheets. You can also use them in very different ways. Olivia, there must be like a delay in me saying what I'm saying and then commenting the comments that come through, because I'm guessing, Olivia, your comment is to do with the cliffhanger. Okay, I'll leave it to the end. I'll give you a little snippet. Oh, well, now I've like lost my train of thoughts about worksheets. Right. So the great thing about structured maths approach is that the resources you can use them in not just a worksheet. So of course they are designed as like a follow-up, a worksheet, something that you can use to support teaching, support the learning outcomes, what you're doing in the classroom, provide that, immediate feedback, like, hey, how they're going, let's check in, show me evidence of that. But there are also other ways you can use them too. So one of them being putting them in the Kmart wipe sleeves, and having them as part of like your rotation. So, it could be once a week. You have some that are in their familiar year level or something that they've already worked on. Pull that out, have them work on those as independent work activities, and that reinforcement. You could digitalize them. So taking a photo of them if you use Seesaw, uploading that onto Seesaw for students to be able to document, fill in as like a digital work. And then you don't have to print off a whole lot of, worksheets. You've got them all digital, which is great. One thing that I did share last year, and I always share when I go to visit schools, is you can actually make the worksheets into a booklet. Now, I did want to show my one, but I realized that mine is actually in the car ready to take to the workshop that I'm doing tomorrow. So what I did is on my device, I open up the PDF and I select like 9 or 10 different worksheets. So I hold down my command button, and as I'm scrolling through, I click and select different worksheets, and then I click Command P and I print them into a booklet. So it comes out as like a little A5 booklet, and they're all double-sided, and they're just this little worksheet snapshot booklet that I've got and I used as part of my rotation once a week. So yes, they would still be doing a worksheet, but only once a week. The other days we'd be doing like writing in our books, or work with the teacher, or it could be like a game as a follow-up. So that's a really great way of thinking smarter in terms of like the amount of paper, if that's on your mind, in terms of like wanting to save some. You could print it off in a double-sided A5 booklet, so then you're only using four 4 double-sided pages for each student. So, and if you had, the school I used to work at, they had a resource photocopier, I want to say person in the library that did that for us. So we just put in our request and it got it all done for us. It's like bulk photocopying. But if you're thinking of, a class, everyone might have 28 worksheets every single day. If you're printing off a little A5 little booklet, it's going to save you a lot more. And it's also giving them one opportunity a week to show their learning, to could be say Wednesday, Thursday, to provide that feedback, to put it in their maths books that they've got that snippet there. Really cool, easy way. And also just if you're thinking about a whole lot of worksheets, that's also a really smart thing as well, a different way of thinking about it. Dry erase pockets for rotations, really cool. So I'm going to shout out one of the schools I visited last year, and I saw it from this lady's class, and I was like, this is the coolest thing. So she had just a box with 30 different wipe pockets in it. And in each of those pockets was one of the worksheets that she had, or in the class had previously done over all the lessons. So essentially I think she'd done like 10 or 12 lessons. And within the book, there are a couple of worksheets for each of those. So she printed off, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 of the worksheets from each of those lessons and put them in the white pockets. And so she had maths after morning tea. And every day when she came in, and I saw this, I witnessed this, it was the coolest thing. I walked into the classroom and I was like, the kids are already doing maths. Like, what's happening? She had them trained so that when they came in after morning tea, they just grabbed a white pocket, one of the pockets with the worksheet already in it, sat down, they got on with it. When they were finished, they rubbed it off, went and put it back, pulled something else. So they were already recapping and revising all of that past knowledge. They're familiar with all of the content because it's things they've already done, and they're settled for after morning tea. Like when you come back and there's all the interruptions and so did this and somebody stole their hat or they can't find their lunch or something. They were already settled on their work, doing their thing, doing what they were doing, and then she just swapped them out every term with the worksheets with the next worksheets that she'd been working on. It was the coolest thing. The kids were so settled. They knew exactly what was like needed of them. It was really great. And I asked her, I said, what did you notice? Like what was working? And she said the kids who really liked practicing specific things always gravitated towards the same worksheets. And I was like, cool, okay, well, how do you feel about that? And she was like, well, it's great because they're still engaged. Yes, they're still practicing the same information, the same learning, but there's nothing wrong with that. They're just going to get faster, that recall, their confidence, especially when we talk around maths anxiety and task anxiety. It was setting them up for success, which I thought was really, really cool. So that's just one idea from a classroom in Auckland. I don't want to name drop them just in case, but super, super cool. And just seeing that, I just sat there in the chair. Like I hadn't even started teaching. I was doing some in-school modeling for them. And I just sat there and was like, this is like the coolest thing ever. And I think they were, I want to say like a year 2 classroom maybe. So even like responsibility in terms of them, the teacher coming in and them doing that by themselves, it was really cool. So that's a really cool thing to think about. Abby, so question around payments. Yeah, I know. So with the website host that I use, it doesn't integrate with Afterpay or PartPay, but I can offer through the payment system that I use individual like setups around like part payment or like payoff or lay-by and things like that. So if there's something that you're interested in, please just email me after this and I can have a conversation with you about that and sort that out for you. I mean, it just, oh, hi, Maddie James. Oh my gosh. I think when you're setting up a website, things like Afterpay or PartPay, like I don't think about, and there are so many loopholes now, and they keep like their main they have like a list of websites. We're going on a real tangent now. A list of websites that you can like integrate PartPay or Afterpay with, and the one that I'm with isn't included in that, unfortunately. So yeah, it's kind of like I've got to try and do a workaround around that, but definitely always trying to support teachers where I can. So just email me after this and we can have a conversation. Okay, so I'm gonna do spot prize very soon. I'm going to give you a small cliffhanger, okay? Because Olivia's kind of, say it, don't do that to us. Okay, so how did the conversation start? The contractors and I was like, I want to one up what I've got. Like, I want to do something else, something extra. And we talked through an idea, and it was a pretty cool idea. And then we decided not to go with that idea because of cost, and ongoing cost was just going to be too much. And it wasn't worth what I was going to get out of it, the cost putting in it. So then I thought, okay, what do teachers need in their lives to like make their lives easier? So I'm going to leave you kind of like a little cryptic thing. If you figure it out, cool. If you don't, just hang around until maybe next month and there might be more progress. If you know of Mrs. Learning Bee on Instagram, she has something called The Hive, which is like life changing. And I love what she's got in terms of that platform. Top Teacher has a platform, and then all of the 4 funded resources have a platform to help, like, next level, I suppose, the teaching with the resource. That's all I'm going to say. So, cliffhanger, that's all it is. Not saying anything else. Feel free to comment what you think. And I don't want to talk it up too much in case something doesn't happen, it doesn't go through, it's not the way I want. You have really high expectations, and then what I deliver is like not. But yeah, yeah, it will be cool. When I was talking to the contractors about it, they were like, yeah, this will be really cool. So, um, for this month's spot prize, I'm going to give away a $20 voucher, $20 store voucher towards your next SMA purchase, whether that's a physical, a digital, a bundle, whatever, even PLD for the workshop tomorrow if you're late and you're like, yes, I still want to come to that. And just full on sidestep as well. If you do want to come to the workshop tomorrow, it is online. It's from 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. So 3 hours. But please, it's all been removed from the website. So if you do want to come, you've just got to send me an email and I can make you an invoice to be able to come along to that. Because I did take it down from the website, but then I've had about 5 people email today saying, hey, I'd really like to come. And I'm like, yeah, cool. I get it. End of term. You know, we don't often check all our emails. But if you do want to come, please send an email and I'll sort that out. I wonder if I can create a poll and add it on. Let's see if I can quickly add this on. I don't know. Did that just come up? Oh, did that come up? Create recent polls, create polls. Did it just come up? Oh no, it's saying not published. Activate. Oh, okay. Right. Does it say activate? Oh. Activate poll. Activate. I want to activate the poll. See, this is my first time being on like Facebook Live in ages. Did it come up with a? Okay, cool. Enter in your answers, and then I will choose someone from the poll there that you do. What do you prefer? Physical resource, having the book, having everything to go through, or your digital resource? What do we think? And then we'll go from there, and I will pick someone from there who is engaged in their preference. I'll randomly select to have a $20 voucher, and I will message you on this because I also don't like going overtime either, because it's a Monday night, first Monday of the holidays. You probably want to go and watch movies or like sleep or whatever. On Friday I was in bed at 8:30 because I was so tired. I was just so done with the term. I was just really shattered. 3 for physical, 5 for digital. I'll give you another 1 minute. Not okay with it being a cliffhanger. I know, Olivia, sorry. Yeah, you know me. I'm going to keep that one to myself because I want it to be exciting, but also if something doesn't go like through, or if it doesn't work, I don't want to have like hyped this like hype dream and then it be like not a hype dream, because then I'll be really sad with myself around that too. So yeah, last minute or so. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's just a really great way of connecting with the community and to ask those questions and to share like those little snippets. I don't know if you've seen Olivia, actually, who's commenting. She actually did some recent posts in the Facebook as well of her using the resource in her class. And what I think is really positive about that and amazing about that is you're seeing it not just from me, the person who created it, but from teachers out there in the classrooms and out with the resource So please, if you've got something, even if you tried something, if you think, oh my gosh, this is really cool, and just like taking a photo, sharing your thoughts about it and uploading that into the Facebook group so that other people can see that and think, cool, I really want to try that. And this is another way of sort of sharing those ideas. And that's why I always try and have one tip, that someone can leave. I saw who was it, Beck saying, love that idea, going to try that. It's just all around just little small things to think, hey, cool, I hadn't thought about that. So if you do try something um, in your classroom, in your practice, and you think, oh, I shouldn't share this, just do, please do. I will, I'll always be your hype person. I want to see you succeed with this in your classroom. And yeah, I just love hearing from teachers using it and seeing such success. And when it comes to academic success as well, that's just a whole nother thing, which I think I'll leave till next time as well, because I do have one academic story to share from a school. When I was down in Invercargill, they were telling me about their maths data, and I was just like, this is unreal, like in terms of success for students and for the school as well, which is awesome. So I'm going to save that one. I'm going to write that one down for next time. I am going to, oh my gosh, look at that, 50-50. That's not fun. I was hoping one would be more than the other. 50% physical, 50% digital. Well, great job, you guys. I envision your platform being like a donut cabinet, and you can choose your flavor as to what you need. Oh my gosh, can you imagine that? That'd be so good. Or like, yeah, yeah, giving me some ideas. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you do have any other questions and you think, oh, I wish I'd asked this, I wish I was braver, please do send me an email or send me a Facebook message. Or if you want to come to the workshop tomorrow, please also send me an email as well. And I hope you have a really great holiday break. You do something for yourself, you relax, recoup somehow, do something for yourself, and are ready for an exciting term 2, which is going to fly by. And then we're going to be term 3 and term 4. And yeah, just thank you so much for joining me tonight on a Monday, and have a great holiday.